When wanting to plan your diet and optimize your nutrient intake, at some point you will pretty much always come across the term phytonutrients, aka phytochemicals. In this video, I want to explain phytonutrients, what they do, and why you should care about them. As you know, plant foods contain thousands of different natural compounds and chemicals. Together, these are called phytonutrients, with phyto being the Greek word for plant. Originally, plants developed them to protect themselves against germs, bugs, fungi, or other threats. But they do also have specific effects on us humans. Most of them positive, but also certain negative effects, which I will go over later. When thinking of phytonutrients, fruits and vegetables will be the first foods that come to mind, simply because they are loaded with them. That said, other foods also contain them, such as whole grains, nuts and seeds, legumes, and even tea. Until today, more than 25,000 phytonutrients have been discovered, but researchers usually group them into 6 main groups, namely carotenoids, ellagic acid, flavonoids, resveratrol, glucosinolates, and phytoestrogens. Let me go over each group quickly to explain what they do and where to find them. First are carotenoids, which are basically plant pigments that provide the yellow, orange, and red colors found in different vegetables and fruits. While there are several hundred types of carotenoids, the most famous is probably beta-carotene found in carrots that can be converted into vitamin A in the body. Another important health benefit of carotenoids is their antioxidant effect, which means they support your immune system and protect your body from free radicals. Besides carrots, other good sources of carotenoids include tomatoes, oranges, pumpkins, spinach, and kale. Next, we have ellagic acid, which is mostly found in berries such as blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, or cranberries. Because ellagic acid was discovered all the way back in the 19th century, it has been studied for quite a while, and its properties are fairly well known. Like carotenoids, it acts as an antioxidant, but it also has anti-mutagenic and anti-cancerous properties, meaning it can help protect against cancer and cell mutations. Unfortunately, some supplement companies use this fact to claim that taking their ellagic acid supplement could treat or prevent cancer, which of course is not backed by any scientific studies and a completely exaggerated statement. Third are flavonoids, which I talked about in great detail in my video on vitamin P. The main function flavonoids are known for, just like carotenoids and ellagic acid, is that they're rich in antioxidants. A high intake of flavonoids also seems to be correlated with a lower inflammation response, as strong inflammation is your body's way of reacting to allergens, germs, and other stressors. Logically, if these stressors are reduced through higher antioxidant intake, so is the inflammation. Foods that are rich in flavonoids include apples, onions, grapefruits, ginger, and green tea. The fourth main type of phytonutrients is resveratrol, which is found mostly in the skin of grapes as well as wine. As you probably already know, resveratrol has gained a lot of attention for its supposed anti-aging and disease-fighting powers. That's because since the 1990s, there have been a few studies that linked resveratrol to antiviral and anti-inflammatory effects. So when people say their hobby of drinking wine is healthy, it's usually because of the resveratrol in the red wine. Unfortunately, most of these studies that looked at the health benefits were animal studies, so their meaningfulness is debatable. And since alcohol consumption has also a definitive negative health impact, the bottom line on this is still unclear. I personally believe the less alcohol the better, but if you like red wine and want to keep drinking it, my advice would be to follow the guidelines of the American Heart Association, which suggests limiting alcoholic drinks to 1 per day for women and 2 for men, where 4 ounces of red wine are counted as 1 drink. Also keep in mind that other forms of alcohol besides red wine don't have resveratrol. Fifth are glucosinolates, which give cruciferous vegetables their bitter flavor. Unlike resveratrol, the health benefits of glucosinolates are very well documented, and research indicates a strong link between them and a better immune response, lower inflammation, and better detoxification. That's because glucosinolates are high in sulfur, which the liver needs to neutralize and eliminate environmental toxins, such as heavy metals or plastic. Glucosinolates also help balance your hormones as they assist in the excretion of excessive estrogen. Like I said before, they are mostly found in cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and cauliflower. Last but not least in our list, we have phytoestrogens, aka isoflavones. I left them for last because they are the most controversial group of phytonutrients. That's because, as the name suggests, phytoestrogens are called this way because they mimic estrogen in the body. The reason for this is that they're chemically similar to estradiol, which is the main estrogen in men and premenopausal women. That means phytoestrogens can affect both genders. While many foods have some phytoestrogen content, the most potent and well-known source is soy. And online, you will find very long discussions over whether soy is healthy or not. While I don't have time to go over all the pros and cons of phytoestrogens now, let me give you a rundown of what we know from studies so far. Basically, phytoestrogens have certain advantages and possible disadvantages. The advantages are similar to the rest of the phytonutrients that I talked about so far. So mainly antioxidative properties, along with a possible reduction of your risk of cancer. The disadvantages come down to the effect of estrogen in the body. While both men and women need a certain amount of estrogen for hormonal health, an excessive amount can actually promote diseases such as breast or prostate cancer. The question is whether foods high in phytoestrogens, such as soy, can be enough to drastically increase your estrogen levels and affect your hormonal balance. As for men, most studies that I have seen show no significant effect, with a meta-analysis from 2010 concluding that soy supplementation had no effect on total testosterone, free testosterone, or other sex hormones, as long as the intake stayed within 10 to 70 grams of soy protein and 60 to 240 milligrams of isoflavones per day. That said, there have been documented cases where high soy intake did lead to problems. One case reported gynecomastia, erectile dysfunction, and reduced libido in a 60-year-old man drinking a little over 2.5 liters of soy milk per day, while another case included a 19-year-old vegan eating a soy-rich diet who was diagnosed with erectile dysfunction and other hormonal problems. What this means is that a reasonable intake of soy products probably won't affect a man's hormonal levels, but that extremely high intakes could definitely do this. In women, phytoestrogens seem to lead to a modest increase in serum estradiol, so blood estrogen, specifically in postmenopausal women. This means they do appear to affect the hormonal balance of postmenopausal women, and while this might sound negative, at the same time, soy foods have been associated with a reduced risk of developing breast cancer. So with all this conflicting advice, what's the bottom line on phytoestrogens? To be honest, it's hard to say. I personally believe that more research is needed to allow me to make clear recommendations about it. And as long as we don't have that research, I prefer to err on the safe side and not add large doses of soy to my normal diet. With all that said, let me wrap up this video on phytonutrients. We talked about the 6 main groups, which are carotenoids, ellagic acid, flavonoids, resveratrol, glucosinolates, and phytoestrogens. We also talked about how most of them act primarily as antioxidants, meaning they can reduce the harm done by free radicals in the body, while also lowering inflammation and other negative health markers. Some of them, such as flavonoids and resveratrol, have garnered a lot of attention from scientists as well as the media, while others still need to be researched more. In basically all cases, it's best to get your intake from whole foods first before looking at supplements and other phytonutrient products.